So first of all, attention deficit disorder is not an attention deficit at all. It's actually an attention overload disorder. It's too many windows open at the same time.
Yeah.
So kids and adults, for that matter, that have ADD or ADHD, they don't lack the ability to pay attention. They lack the ability to pay attention to so many things.
Yeah.
So what happens in the human mind, all minds, is we don't just create thought. We also break thought down. And so if you don't break thought down, dismantle thought at the same way or same rate that you create it, the mind gets very clouded, which is why this is truly an attention overload disorder. The only thing they find it easy to focus on are subjects and things that they're interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they don't lack the ability to pay attention. In fact, kids with ADD and adults with ADD or ADHD can actually hyper-focus.
Yeah.
They're interested in a topic, they will self-teach themselves that topic at an excruciatingly detailed level. So the question becomes not how do we speed up the central nervous system to match the pace of the mind. So modern medicine would say, okay, well, if the mind's racing, let's put amphetamines into the body.
Yeah, I'm so against all those medicines.
To race the central nervous system to match the pace of the mind. So this is Vyvanse, Ritalin, Adderall, these are amphetamines. And so that's taking the system that's not broken, the central nervous system, and breaking it to match the system that is. So I always say, if you're going to use that solution, next time you get a flat tire, just get out of your car and slash your other three tires, right? So this will create equilibrium. So the question becomes, how do we quiet the mind? Because there are a lot of characteristics that are going on in the body for kids and adults that have attention deficit disorder. It's very rare to see a kid with ADD or ADHD that doesn't have intermittent gut issues. Either gas or bloating or constipation or diarrhea or irritability, sometimes bloating, sometimes cramping. They're not as regular as other kids. As adults, they're not that regular either, meaning they don't have bowel movements as frequently. And they also have the same bedtime scenario where they lay down to go to sleep at night, and as their environment quiets, their mind wakes up.
That's exactly it. And with me too. So again, my wife, the second her head hits the pillow, she's out.
Yes.
Like to the point that I've said, hey, listen, you're joking, right? Because we're in the middle of a conversation. Like we're in the middle of a sentence. You can't be, like, I've literally begun, you can't be asleep. Hello.
Yeah.
And she's fast asleep.
Right.
Zayn is the same. With me, I'll go to, even if I'm super tired, the laptop's next to the bed and I'm like, I need to watch 15 episodes of Family Guy. Right. Noah's the same. Even though he's yawning, he'll go to bed and then he's just like beatboxing.
Yes. So how do we quiet the mind? So to even take it a step deeper, what is causing the mind to be active? So neurotransmitters, which they form the base of all mood. They form the basis of all emotional states. They drive our behavior. Serotonin, for example, main driver of mood and of emotion. Dopamine, the main driver of behavior. These are neurotransmitters that are actually manufactured. They're made in our gut. In fact, 90% of the serotonin in your body is right here in your gut. So if you don't have it here, you can't have it here. So the question becomes, how do we break down the neurotransmitters of thought? Like, how do we keep them from accumulating at the rate that they're accumulating, the rate at which they're accumulating? These neurotransmitters, a specific class of neurotransmitters, are called catecholamines. They're the 4 neurotransmitters that are involved in fight or flight. So when they rise from a 0 to a 2, you feel a mild bit of anxiousness. You're hyper aware. Your thoughts are clicking, you're thinking. As they go from a 2 to like a 5, you can actually feel mild anxiety. You can feel the presence of a fear without the presence of a fear. As they go from a 5 to a 7 or an 8, you can have a full-blown panic attack without the presence of a fear. And if they rise higher, you can actually even have paranoia. So in kids that have dysregulated ability to break these neurotransmitters down, it is critically important to get folic acid out of their diet. You want to see a different child in the house in 7 days, you get the folic acid out of their diet. So you get rid of all of the fortified or enriched foods. Now, they can have grains, they can have pasta, they can have white flour, rice. They can even have cereals as long as they're organic and they're not fortified or enriched. That's a critical term to look for. The second one is to supplement them with a methylated multivitamin. Same for adults. You want to see ADHD stop dead in its tracks. You want to put anxiety permanently into the rearview mirror. you start supplementing with a methylated multivitamin. And what this will do is it will actually provide your body with a specific set of B vitamins, pyridoxine, riboflavin, thiamine, niacin, pantothenic acid, these B vitamins. Those are just fancy names for B vitamins. You take a very specific form of B12 called methylcobalamin, and you take a very specific form of folate called methylfolate. Because just like we believe that the vast majority of disease is genetically inherited, which is patently false, because diseases travel in families does not mean they're genetically inherited. It means that they are familial.
Mm.
And what that means is that certain nutrient deficiencies are passed on our genome.
They didn't break the cycle as well, the parents, when they were feeding their children.
And you can supplement for these deficiencies. In fact, I tell all adults and kids to start at the same place. There is one test you can do once in your lifetime. It's called a genetic methylation test. And this test, it's a cheek swab. You take a cheek swab.
It's the one with the 5 markers, right?
There's usually between 5 and 12. I have one with 5. I have one that goes all the way to 12 markers. Now, there are 1.3 million genes in the genome. I only care about 12 of them. The reason why I care about these specific genes is because these genes are actionable. If they're broken, you can supplement for their deficiency. The vast majority of people right now are supplementing for the sake of supplementing. They're not supplementing for deficiency.
Yeah.
I always use the plant example that if you had a leaf rotting in a palm tree and you called a true arborist, a true botanist out to look at that leaf, they wouldn't even touch the leaf.
They're going to go to the soil.
They're going to go to the soil.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, you know what? There's no nitrogen in the soil. And they're going to add nitrogen and the leaf is going to heal. And human beings are no different. When you deprive the body of certain raw material, you get this expression of misbehavior. Now, it might be ADD or ADHD or anxiety or anxiousness or mild depression or what we would call a mood disorder or a mental illness, which I don't believe that they are. They're definitely not. And these are not consequences of the presence of pathology or something else. They are the consequences of missing raw material. As soon as you added nitrogen to the soil, the leaf healed. As soon as you add certain methylated nutrients, the human body heals. And this is very true in kids. Kids can do this test as soon as they can chew and swallow. So supplementing kids with minerals, there are mineral salts that I love, like a Baja Gold sea salt. This is like a $15 bag of this salt will last you probably 5 years. You can get in a mineral drop or two. When we become mineral deficient, amino acid deficient, nutrient deficient, the body starts misbehaving. And this has everything to do with how well our intestinal tract moves. So all the consequences of bowel disruption. This has to do with our behavior because it's how we make neurotransmitters. So it has to do with our mood. It has to do with our emotional state. So in children specifically, because you asked, I would really, if you have any of these things going on, you want to see a different child in the house. Pause the folic acid, fortified or enriched foods for 7 days, add in a methylated multivitamin. And in 7 days, I promise you, it will not be a full contact sport to get that kid in the car to go to school.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's incredible.